All righty. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It is 8:03. I apologize for being, 3 minutes late. It's Thursday, August the 13th, and we are here, and I'm excited about this show because this is the business edition of the Keepers of the Peace podcast. And so we've got a lot of moving parts on today's show. We like to give people an opportunity to sign on before we start getting into the meat of things. So I'll take that opportunity to sit here and let you guys know you're going to have to be patient on this show. We're going to have something that we haven't had to this point, and that is the ability for people to be able to call in. So we're going to be able to take this, the questions that you guys have, and be able to ask the people that are here as guests on the show. Speaking of that, let me just go ahead and introduce myself now, get that out of the way. Hey, we got Doug Brown tuning in. What's going on, brother? Thank you for joining us, man. So we've got okay, let me tell you who I am. So I am Trinidad, and I am a U.S. Air Force veteran. I'm a 23-year law enforcement veteran. I just recently retired. Very happy about that. Busier than I was even at work. And damn it, I forgot I was on this show with a bunch of first responders. What are they going to say? Yeah, you didn't work very hard then. But I'm working harder even now on what we're doing here. A lot of things that are in the works, but I'm excited about it. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I'm a franchise business owner, and I'm a nonprofit founder of an organization called Shields for Kids. And that organization allows officers in their off-duty time to be able to provide for kids in the community that are in need. And we stress the fact that we're off duty, on our own time and on our own dime, to be able to go out and be personally involved in the gives with these children. So it's a great organization, and we're going to be featuring it on an upcoming show. So that being said, we've got the opportunity. The way this is going to work as far as call-ins, and we'll have to go ahead and stress it again here shortly. We have a comment section. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, I'm going to get clarification on how you can comment. I'm not sure. Can we comment on YouTube for sure? How about Facebook? Yep, comment on Facebook. I don't know how many other platforms we're on, but I guess with Facebook and YouTube, I think it is that you can go ahead and comment. So if you have questions for any of us in this business edition, please go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section, and then we'll send a message over the comment section with the phone number that you can call in on. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and stress first and foremost that we are not business consultants. We're not business attorneys. We are not guaranteeing any results. All this kind of stuff is very important to be able to stress, because where we're coming from right now is from our personal experiences. That's what we all are speaking on. And so personal experiences can't be wrong. It's just our experience. But there's a lot of things that have to come into play when you own a business. And so that's what you're going to get today. You're going to get some of our experiences through business that have allowed us to be where we're at. And that's what we're going to be sharing today, along with introducing the people behind the business. So we're really excited about that. I want to go ahead and thank Andy. So I'm talking about Andy. Andy joining us again. I always appreciate your support, brother. Testing, comment, testing. One thing I've noticed about these first responders is technological kind of stuff, man, throws us for a loop. We can go and jump fences at night, chase people. We do a bunch of stuff like that, but ask them to come on a podcast, and I'm very happy that we do some testing before we actually have them come on this podcast. So these guys all did a great job today, but sometimes it can be a challenge. All right, man, we got Solution Point Plus in the house. My man, I missed your call, been super busy. We need to connect soon. That's Joe and Jesse, man. And if you haven't checked out their website, please go to it, Solution Point Plus. Their mental health advice and mental health experience is unchallenged from me personally. They do a wonderful job. They also have a podcast, so please check out Solution Point Plus. And we will go ahead and let me tell you about Keepers of the Peace. So we have a conference coming up This conference is coming up on April the 12th through the 14th. It's in San Antonio, and it is at the Hyatt Regency down on the Riverwalk. This is April 12th and 14th in 2021. We're going to be providing a badass conference with badass breakout sessions for police, fire, military, and EMTs. So we've got the tickets on sale now at early bird prices. Make sure you please go to our website there at keepersofthepeace.com. We've got some wonderful speakers that are lined up already. What do I got here? Got this dude, Travis Howes, is going to be there. He's one of our speakers. He's got a great story. Because of what it is and where he's at now. I mean, he's a lot of service as far as a policeman, fire, military, all three. But, this guy's Create Your Own Light book is Finding Post-Traumatic Purpose. And it's a wonderful story. We actually have a book here that we can give to you. So if you'd make a comment on here. We'll pick one of you guys when it's all said and done. We'll make sure we get you one of these books. But we've got some really neat breakout sessions. I'm excited about that because we have in-hotel breakout sessions where we're going to be talking about business. For instance, these subject matter we're talking about today. If you've ever thought about starting a business, if you ever thought about, like, should I have a franchise business? Should I do it on my own? Do I want to get into, realty? Do I want to start my own clothing brand? Maybe I don't want to do any of that. Maybe I just want to invest in whatever it is my departments or organizations investment programs are. We're going to touch on all four of those today. And so, but at this conference, we're doing the same thing. If you ever want to write your own book, there's a lot of stories out there, and a lot of people find therapy in writing their own books. We're going to have breakout sessions on that. So a lot of really cool breakout sessions inside the hotel. And on the 14th, we're going to have outside of the hotel breakout sessions. So that's going to be really neat because we have, for instance, back on our flyer, we've got the SWAT competition teams. We're highlighting the guys from our department, but it's a workout and shoot with the SAPD SWAT team. Now, this is separate from the conference ticket, but you're going to have to sign up quickly because I know these things. We're going to have a jiu-jitsu seminar, which, we've got our viciously loyal partner that we're hoping to have their help to be able to get us this really special speaker. In fact, I think we're going to touch on it tonight because he said that we could. We're just going to wait for that confirmation from him. But it's we're talking about, I think, the biggest and most notable person when the MMA circuit really came to the forefront. This man was there. He was the one. And I'm excited because we're hoping that he's going to be able to make it over here. But we'll talk about him in just a little bit. Bertha Soto, thank you so much for joining us. So cool. It will be an amazing conference. Thank you for that. Dustin McLaughlin, what's up, buddy? Keep up the solid work. Thank you very much, brother. I do appreciate that. All that stuff really helps me because this isn't my thing much. It's kind of difficult to do this, but whenever I see these comments, or more importantly, whenever I get messages about how important our shows were to that individual, that's what keeps us going. So, all right, we got the conference. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. I think we're at the conference. Yeah. I think we're just going to introduce our, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Hey, we're trying to push our YouTube channel. So if you get an opportunity to go to YouTube and watch on YouTube, you keep up with us on Facebook, that's cool. But man, if you can go to YouTube, check this out. Let's see, we're going to bring that up here in just a minute. We'll show you how to go to YouTube because we have to spell it out on how to do this. So you go to Trini Trinidad in your YouTube search, you hit the filter. Then you're going to go to the channel. You're going to hit my vacation photo, or you can hit it there. And you're going to go to subscribe. And you're going to hit the notification bell. And you're going to go to the top notification bell and hit all. And do us a favor, go on and subscribe. It really helps us a lot. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers right now. We have, I think, 411, but we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're asking if you enjoy the show, you enjoy the content, please give us a rating, give us a review. And don't forget that you can also find this on a gazillion podcasting platforms. So make sure you go. You can listen to a lot of people tell me they listen on the way to work or the way home from work. So That's a great thing. And Spotify, Apple, etc. You can find them all there. So, and you get to, if you subscribe and you share with 10 of your friends, you will be qualified for this Chris Vector. It's a unique weapon, very cool, never been fired. I've got it sitting here at the house and it's ready to go to you. So you get that opportunity, please go on, subscribe, and share with 10 of your friends. Cool. All right. What up, Joe? Where's the new vacation photo? Avi from Tahoe. Oh, yeah. We went to South Lake Tahoe here recently. It was awesome, man. Maybe we can find that. See if we can find it. Bring it on. South Lake Tahoe, I'm going to tell you, if you've never been there, is unbelievable. Lake Tahoe, period. But I mean, South Lake was just really neat. And I got a great opportunity to play some great golf out there. So, yeah, that was a great one. So, hey, Joe, thank you for tuning in. And Dwayne Killian, listening from the coast. Keep up the powerful work, brother. Dwayne, I'm going to congratulate you, man. He just retired. And that dude right there deserves to be at the coast, stay at the coast, do all the fishing he wants. He's raised a beautiful family, loving family. And Dwayne, we appreciate all your years of service. Thank you so much for the sacrifices that you've made throughout your career and for being a great mentor to me, because we didn't have to work together that long for you to be very impactful to me. And that's the importance of being a great, mentor, leader. He wasn't trying to be, just through his examples he was. So Dwayne, thank you very much, brother. And Jessica Blow, amazing. That's what I'm talking about, Jessica. What up, girlfriend? All right, so we're going to make this happen. We're going to bring our first guest on. We're going to introduce him. We're going to bring our second guest on, introduce him third, and then we'll bring them all back on, and we'll talk about the businesses that they are involved in and investments that they're involved in. So we're going to start first with my buddy, who is the founder and president of a brand that I absolutely love. I love it because it speaks to me. It speaks to me on a part of who I am and how I've lived my life, because I am extremely loyal. It means a lot to me. It's one of my top valuable assets that I try to be, but also look for in people. And so this brand is awesome. We're going to go to a video on this brand before we bring them in. And I think that'll speak more than anything I can say on it.
Viciously loyal is whatever matters to you. Whatever you stand up for, lay it down for. Your persona, what you've walked your entire life, that's what you're viciously loyal to. Whether it's your faith, your family, your service. You take care of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and that dude or woman next to you is going to take care of you. I'm here because I honor you, and I'm here to protect you, and I'm here to help you through this endeavor. You do not have to wear a uniform. You do not have to stand on any little footprints. You don't have to carry a gun to be in service. And if I could preach one thing, is to tell everybody, trust me when I say, when you serve, you will benefit in life.
That's powerful stuff right there. What's going on, George?
Hey, how you doing, Trini?
Excellent, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Super excited to have you on. George is in law enforcement for 19 years. He's a former U.S. Marine. He is a master instructor. That's what I'm talking about. He's a master instructor for the Peacekeepers products and
the Carotid Restraint Institute.
And so we're going to talk about that because I'm excited about that. President and founder of Viciously Loyal. So let's go ahead and first, I want to thank you for your service to our country and to our community. It's very important to me. You see this flag, it means the world to me. And for everyone that's ever served, I always try to make sure I let them know how much I appreciate their service. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your service. Let's talk about that master instructor for Peacekeepers products. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a funny story. Actually, I was an instructor at the San Antonio Police Department for almost 5 years. And when I was first introduced to the Peacekeeper baton of the RCB, I used it. I didn't understand all of what it was. I'm big into baton. I love martial arts itself, and I started training in that vein. And then through a master instructor course that I went through, it was a 3-day course. They actually called me a few days later and asked if I would be interested in being an instructor for that company. I was honored, humbled, flattered, and started becoming an instructor for them. Now, 10 years later, I'm one of only 2 people in the world that can actually certify in this training program. So it's been amazing. I get to travel all over the nation, hopefully soon to be all over the world, and train police officers in what we do. Right, not just in baton, but in how we interact with the public. So it's been amazing. It's been a great journey for 10 years. So I
Very
love
cool.
it.
Very cool. A lot of experience. I'm sure that you were able to gain from being a part or a member of that organization that would translate over, I'm sure, to viciously loyal.
Yeah, yes. As a matter of fact, yes, and that is a very funny story. Um, being interacting, working 10 years with federal agencies, municipalities, counties. Uh, I've come across other companies as well, right? So the funny story behind that is I actually got sought after by another baton company. Uh, they're very well-known brand, great brand. I just didn't think they were as good as the Peacekeeper. And I kind of developed, this is my family now, right? I mean, you know this because we've known each other for a while, that if I'm with you, I'm with you. And I don't know what else to say about it. If I'm with you to the end, right? And I got offered more money. I got offered a title. I got offered a lot of things to quit Peacekeeper and go join this other company. Of course, when that kind of thing happens, the owner of that company thought for sure that I was going to part ways and that I was going to take the money and go. Right, money can be a very powerful draw. It actually never occurred to me, and I that's one of the very first times. It's actually the second time that I uttered it to another owner of a company. It's like, look, I'm viciously loyal to this family. I'm viciously loyal to this company, and that was 10 years ago, and 10 years later, here I am. And I always say loyalty, except for integrity, is one of the things you need to have in the highest regard. And for me, it's paid dividends.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I've lived my life. I hear my father's voice right now. All you have in this world is your word, right? So anyway, so that's that little story about how that happened with Peacekeeper, and that was a crazy experience. I mean, like I said, he actually called me and said, "Hey, if you take it, I understand. It's a bit more money." And I was actually a little bit taken aback. I said, "No, it's not about the money. It's what I believe in." And I believed in his company, which I
Awesome.
still do. I believe in his brand, which I still do. I believe in that baton, which I still do. My teammates over there, which I get to see, and I travel all over the nation with them. Jim Boyd, love you, brother. That's the guy who brought me on, and I'm viciously loyal to Jim Boyd, who actually, and that side note, who is the catalyst for me trademarking the phrase "viciously loyal."
Awesome.
I've been using that and signing off on that for 8 or 9 years, and Jim was in my ear constantly. George, you should trademark that. You should do something with it. Well, I didn't know what to do with it, but anyway, I can go down that road later. But yeah, there I am. They're viciously loyal, and that's my icon, which stands for faith, family, service, and the chevrons underneath represent the fire, military, and police. All those who kind of support that endeavor. So that's my brand.
Awesome, man. Well, I love
But
that. I
yeah,
love I love how you know, a lot of times, a lot of names for companies come up just the way that they did for you. Hey, I've been saying this, and you know what? I'm passionate about that. So you decided to take that and you decided to create a brand out of it. So tell us about Viciously Loyal.
yeah. So and viciously loyal. When I started using that phrase, when it popped into my head, and again, I know that sounds a little funny, vicious and loyal, but I couldn't think of a strong enough adverb to say what loyalty meant to me. And vicious, kind of a strong word for how loyal I am. I went ahead and started to think about the process of trademarking the phrase. So I had to get an attorney to trademark that phrase and, of course, register the icon. But as it started to go, I really didn't understand what I was going to do with it. I created 2 shirts and 1 hat and went to an outdoor market event. And when people would come up and ask me when they saw our banner, what is Viciously Loyal? And I would simply express to them, it's a brand about service, nothing more. What you subscribe to, what you lay it down for, what describes Trini? What describes George? What describes anybody? What matters to you most? That's what you're viciously loyal to. Man, that was an eye opener. I almost sold out within 2 hours, and it kind of got me thinking. Maybe this is something. I always call myself an accidental entrepreneur, or basically forced. And again, I'll give it to Jim Boyd, who said, "I think you have something." And really, at the end of all my correspondence and at the end of all my emails, instead of yours truly or sincerely yours, I would sign off viciously loyal George. Me and my wife, Annalisa, who's also a 21-year veteran of the San Antonio Police Department, would use this for each other. And it's kind of how we describe our there's my wife. That's my backbone. That's my everything. That's my sunrise. That's my sunset. That right there. That's my sunrise and sunset.
Yeah. I wish you would have told me that on the side, dude. I could have used that in the next Mother's Day or the next Valentine's or something. Damn it.
You know that I told an Uber driver that once, and he said, "Say that again. Say it again." And I said, "Say what?" He's like, "What you just said about your wife." I said, "Oh, yeah, she's my sunrise and my sunset." And he goes, "That's what I'm going to say to my wife." And I said, "But you got to mean it. You got to mean it." And anyway, and that's how we are to each other. And being cops, this is going to be funny. One of the very first things that Viciously Loyal ever went on was a police baton. We subscribed police batons to each other, and we exchanged them. So we have some rare Cocobolo batons, and we inscribed Viciously Loyal on them. So that was our little gift. Now cops get it. Other people might think that's weird.
We haven't used them against each other yet, right?
No, we haven't. Okay. They're like mounted pieces, and right. we love them. But so that's kind of how it grew. It's how we live our lives. Like you described it first, and you talked about it. It's not just something we say. It's who we are. It's what defines us. Yeah. As servants, and more than anything else, if I had to say it, and I listened to my video, and I don't like my own voice, but I do like what I said. It's about service, and I've never met anybody in my whole life who regretted service. I regret serving my country. I regret being a police officer. I regret helping that man, helping that woman, helping that individual. I never heard anybody say I regret that. You don't have to be in uniform. You don't have to stand on those yellow footprints and raise your hand to be in service. So that's kind of the mantra of what I wish. And man, like I said, I can always go down a rabbit hole, but I think this generation could benefit from that, from service. I mean, if you're looking for something to do in life, it really is service, and it doesn't have to be in uniform, but you'd be surprised how full your heart would be to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all these years later, I'm extremely proud of my service. I'm very happy that I took part in providing for our country and our community. So I'll tell you what, George. So we've got a good understanding of the business of Viciously Loyal. We're going to be getting into some of the nuts and bolts of it all. Let me go ahead and introduce our next guest. And don't forget, before we get done, I want to make sure that we let people know where they can find your products, what kind of products you have, things of that sort. We're going to get into that with the other guys. So, all right, George, thank you so much for being here, man. We'll see you here in just a second. All right. So next, what we're going to do is we've got another business owner here in Trey Serrano. And but one of the things I want to do is I want to talk to our second guest, who's going to be Jim. And we got Jim Smith with us. And the thing about Jim, and here's what I'm going to tell you that I like about having him on this show is, so we got myself, business owner. We've got George, business owner. We got Trey, business owner. We have Jim, who said, man, I'm going to let him explain it here in just a little bit. Well, the thing I liked about Jim was he said, man, I like the investment part of things. I like investing in my pension. I like investing in these things that they offer in like an ICMA program that we have with our department. And so I thought it would be really neat to, besides having Jim on, because he's real funny. He's a cool dude, very good dude, and he's a funny dude. I wanted to have him on because I never got into that aspect of investing, or didn't get aggressive with those types of investments. So I thought it was neat because not everybody's cut out for business, or people might find out that business isn't for them and they've got this that can, be a great investment. So Jim, thank you so much for being here, brother.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. Jim has been in law enforcement for 28 years, man. Thank you so much for your service. U.S. Army veteran. We appreciate you, Jim. Thank you sincerely for that. So this acronym, I think I can get it right, but I'm going to let him say it. You're the chairman of.
The San Antonio Fire and Police Pension Fund. And
That's what I thought.
Yeah, obviously the name in itself is self-explanatory, kind of, sort of. We have our own independent pension fund for just San Antonio fire and police officers.
Yeah. So, I want to go ahead and let's see here. Carly, there. Sure. So we've got Jim. I want to be able to talk about that. So, you haven't taken the business route to this point. And when we were talking earlier, you said, I'm excited to be able to speak about the investments in like a pension or in like an ICMA. Can you explain to people kind of how that works, the investments in pensions or IMA?
Well, for most of us in public safety, we're still fortunate and blessed to have what, as we say, is a defined benefit pension, which basically the term itself defines itself. You stay in so many years, you're going to get that benefit for the rest of your life. Or should we pass away, we're very fortunate. Our fund has it where your spouse will continue to get that benefit. It's not like a 401k. 401ks, unfortunately, were introduced into the business world, and they were misconstrued as a pension. They're nothing more than a savings plan. Whatever you put in is what you have at the end of the day. And if that's your only investment you have, that's the only thing you can retire on. We're fortunate, as I said, we have a defined benefit pension. And a lot of people forget it's just not given to us. A lot of us in public safety, we don't get Social Security benefits. So at least in our local plan, we pay over 12% of our pay towards our pension. And we're fortunate enough to have it in state law to where the city double matches that. And like I said, we're very fortunate. There are a lot of attacks on pensions. A lot of people as first responders know that. There's this term called pension envy out there, where the fact is we have something like that. When I grew up, pensions were commonplace. My mom worked at a factory for 15, 20 years. She got a pension. They rewarded loyal, long-term employees. Same thing with my dad. I just didn't know the difference that there wasn't a pension. It wasn't until obviously joined the military and obviously, time on active duty with the police department. Then, of course, that's the light at the end of our rainbow. Oh, that's my little nephew you got showing up there. He loves Shark Week, by the way.
I love Shark Week.
I know.
And I like that Tyson belt buckle also.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Good
Texas pride right there.
So, but like I said, I don't know how far you want me to go in that, but we're very fortunate. We are actually making investments in ourselves, and what that is, basically, we don't have to take that risk. You, I, Dwayne, who and God bless you, brother, for all your service and your generosity over the years. A lot of people, I know you don't like to hear this, but he's like you, Trini. He gives a lot of his money away to great causes. Yeah. And I admire that. You've done well because you've taken a lot of personal risk, you and your wife, and you give back. You give back. And I know George does the same thing, and Annalisa. And I admire you folks who actually take your capital and you it's risky. It's risky. Yeah. And it's got to be scary to do that. And I admire you guys for being able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. And one of the things I'll point out is that when you concentrate on investments in like an ICMA program or a pension, I think self-awareness is very important. If you go into a business and you either, you want to be something in business as far as like having your own business, but maybe you're not as savvy when it comes to taking those chances. Maybe you don't want to invest a whole lot because you're not good with parting with your money in that way. If you find that out either beforehand, it's great. But if you get into it and you're able to recognize that's not it, then that's when I believe you can, because I've heard tons of people who do the right thing when it comes to ICMA or pension type investments. They get can you explain the different tiers when it comes to a pension type investment? Because I know you have, or ICMA, you have, I think with the pension, is it the amount that you put in over an extended period of time? And then with maybe ICMA, there's a safe and an aggressive type investment, things of that sort?
Well, with a pension, obviously, we have a board. We have 9 members on that board. We have professional staff members. it's a long-term investment strategy, and it's called collective risk, where every one of us are putting that money in. But as I said earlier, we're as individuals, we're not making those individual choices as me, Jim Smith, or you or George. We're not making those individual investments when it comes to our pension. The pension staff does it. We do it. We've gotten a lot of training. I've learned a lot over the last 10 years being on this board. I am by far no financial investment advisor. We employ a lot of smart people to do that on the pension side. And it's a long term, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We try to just make 7.25% every year. We try to reduce, you'll hear this term, unfunded liabilities. You have to look at it as almost like a mortgage. Our pension fund, we're very fortunate. We're about 90% funded. The way to look at that is we own 90% of that house, and there's only 10% of liabilities left to pay off that complete note. Now, when it comes to ICMA, that's totally different. Now, that's ICMA, that's just a company that runs a 457 plan. There's tons of those that a lot of us deal with throughout the country as first responders. They contract with the city. I don't know exactly how those contracts work, but that's totally an individual choice of how you want to invest that money. Traditionally, people who are new to getting into the department, I wish we'd have known a little bit earlier. I didn't hear about it till I was maybe 2 or 3 years on, but that I tell everybody, invest as much as pain that you can stand. The 12%, you don't have a choice about that. That's a condition of employment for our pension, and thank God we have it. But on 457s, I'm gonna use that term. It's equivalent to like a 401k in the civilian world. We're fortunate we can do that. There's no matching funds. It's all, and it's your decision. And it's kind of tough because none of us are investment professionals. I've made some mistakes, and you learn by your mistakes. And I've, even through some of my mistakes, and I said, this is individual investments. I learned a lot during this last financial downturn on how I'm going to do it. But I'm towards the end of my career, so you always want to be a little bit more conservative towards the end of your career. But I would tell you, it's slow and steady, consistency. Just keep giving. You just have to stay consistent. Timing the market. I've met some brilliant people, millionaires, billionaires, hedge fund managers, and no one can predict the future. They can get close. They have metrics. They have computer programs, but so many things change things. In the macro world. Something with China, this, that. All the stuff going on. Who'd have known about this COVID? Mm-hmm. There's so many things. So it's all about diversification. We do, especially at the pension fund. We invest in everything, be it equities, which are stocks, of course, fixed income. Well, we don't do hedge funds anymore. Real estate. And I'm not talking like flipping houses. I'm talking large corporate funds that we're part of. And when they sell those property, we earn the money from those. And we do get cash flow from rent rolls on that. But we invest in timber. You name it, we are invested in it. A lot of those things we can't do on the personal side. Yeah. But you can do the basics. And I would just tell people, consistency, keep giving, and it'll all work out in the end. The markets are volatile, but if you see the curve, they have gone up quite a bit over the years.
Jim, I know 3 companies that the pension can invest in. I'll get with you after the show. So we're going to be, I'm excited because I want to be able to, things like what you just said, which is, hey, if you're young, be aggressive. As you get towards the end of your career, be a little more conservative. I think that's important for people to hear. And that's the kind of thing I want to get to on this show. So we'll get back with you here shortly on that.
Trini, you just kind of with your about, hey, I would tell you, be very careful. I would tell you, if anyone ever tells you you're going to get a guaranteed rate of return on any investment, run away from them. Yep. And unfortunately, we've had some people who've gotten burnt by that, but that is the biggest red flag. Yeah. Run away from people who says, I can guarantee you this. That'll save you some money at the end of the day.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and to clarify that as we're into the show a little bit, we're not guaranteeing results with anything that we're saying. This is all personal experiences. We're not business consultants. We're not attorneys. We're really just going off of us as individuals and what we've experienced, whether it be starting your own business, investing. That's what we're here to share. So we'll clarify that. But James, thank you very much for being here. We're going to get you back here in just a second. So one thing I want to make sure you guys know, we're going to introduce our last guest here. And if you have a question for any of us and you want to ask it, please go to the comment section. Make sure you comment. We see that question pop up. We've got some people who are watching it, and we'll give you a number and you'll be able to call in and actually ask your question or, go into a little bit more detail, something that you'd like to know. So make sure that you put that comment in there. It's live. We're trying to work this out on our own. We're not a real big Joe Rogan type show, obviously. So make sure you drop your question into the comment section, and then, hey, we'll try to get one or two of you on the show. The next guest that I have, we're going to be able to highlight his business also with a commercial. I think that it'd be good to just go ahead and start like that. We got Trey Serrano joining us with the Cavalry Realty Group. Check this out.
It's a bit messy, but you just have to have it cleaned up before showings. Oh, hold on, let me grab this. Okay, right back. Hi, this is Trey. Oh, you're in the neighborhood. Yeah, we can have it ready to show. Yeah, see you in a minute. Thanks, bye. Hey Siri, call the Cavalry.
Calling the Cavalry Group.
Comes with a pool boy.
That was awesome. We'll welcome Trey Serrano to the show.
Hello, Trini.
What's going on, brother? Hey, I got a little something for you. Hold on. That's for Trey. Hey, man. I'll tell you what, that was an awesome commercial, man. I loved it the first time I saw it, second, third, fourth, and now this time. That was great, man.
Oh,
hey,
man.
So
yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Hey, so we got Trey. He was in law enforcement for 8 years. He's an app developer. I think that's really cool. It's a first responders. So he's the First Responders Young Professionals Network founder, which I'm a part of, and I think it's a great organization, and it flows right along with the program here. He's a real estate group owner and a real estate coach and mentor. So hey, if you get an opportunity, we'll throw that back up there real quickly. So we got that First Responders Young Professionals Network. We can go there, sign, no memberships, no fees. It's really cool. You paid your dues and sacrificed enough. So let us help you grow your business. So I think that's a great organization to look up. And we're going to talk about you now. We're talking about being in the realty group, realty business. You just recently retired, correct?
I sure did. Separate,
yeah, man.
Quit, early retirement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. No, well, I'll tell you what, thank you for your service, man. We appreciate all the fences you've jumped and everything you've done also to be able to, provide that our community with the safety and security, that we all can go to sleep at night, especially at nighttime, and feel comfortable, with you guys out there. So thank you very much for that. All right, man. So let's get in. It says, great commercial. Funny too. Yeah. So, hey, Trey, tell us a little bit about your, your business. Tell us, what's going on, man.
Yeah, man, that video never gets old. I love watching it. So we have a team of about 10 realtors now. We've grown to 10, and we're basically, most of us are first responder veterans. We are, I like to say, like the SWAT of real estate. We don't wait. We don't get pushed over. We're just in your face. We need to get this done now. And with these 10 guys and girls that we have, it's just an amazing group. So aside from that, Trini, I'm going to talk about you. I wish that I had something like this to listen to when I was sitting in my patrol car 8.5 years ago when I first broke out, because you know what? The information was not there that we needed. So thank you for doing this podcast, and whoever's listening, because it is really empowering that guy who just got a break right now from sitting on that murder scene and all that. So hey, kudos to you, Trini.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm excited to be able to highlight all of you guys because I trust all of you as individuals. And, I failed to mention that, Jim, our guest that was just on, he's with us on the Shields for Kids. And so, I didn't mention that. We're going to talk about that when we come back. But in the end, all you guys, I've seen you in your personal lives, we've talked obviously about business and investments and things of that sort. So I trust you three, and that's why you three are on the show. So it's wonderful to have you guys, and I'm excited to go ahead and highlight you, man. So when we talk about you left the department and you left early, like you said before, man, what was it that was pulling at you?
I was doing a part-time real estate business while I was a police officer. So literally, I can say it now so I can't get in trouble. But I was literally on the phone with clients, on the way to stuff, or if I took a lunch break or a coffee break. And I knew there was something more. And here's the beauty of a podcast like this, because you get three individuals plus you, Trini, that have been in some kind of service, first responder veterans, and that's a calling. That is something you go above and beyond. So when I was in that patrol car, I figured I'm risking my life. I'm risking, and not necessarily for the bad guys or girls. It's really for management that just pushes you down and just makes you feel this big. So I hated it. So that's what drove the interest to find what business is all about, because I saw so many people so successful about their businesses. And I said, why can't I do that? Why can't I grow a business? I mean, I went through the police academy. I led my arrest in the month of July, whatever year it was. I needed to know more. So that's what really drove me to learn about business. And thank the good Lord, it grew into, developing my own group, selling over 100 houses now just in 3 years. So, and I
awesome,
say that,
man.
And I say that just because anybody can do it. If you're watching this, do not think that I can't this, I can't that. No, the beauty of the people that are on this is giving you different perspectives. So let me just mention George. George has been an influence since I started the police academy. That man is viciously loyal. I mean, he is just a ball of just wealth and knowledge. And James has been with me, being I was SAPD. But I will say this, my way of thinking is a little bit different in terms of business investments and risk, right? Because a philosopher, Mark Twain, he said, to get the fruit, you got to go on the limb, right? So as a police officer sitting in my patrol car, I look at my paycheck, I look at what my mortgage is and, my expenses, and I think, okay, I got $200. Cool. I'm going to go drinking and take the wife out to dinner. And that was it. Right. And I did that for many years. So I knew there was more. There is so much benefit to not having a pension, to not relying on steady, where it's like the safe route. I don't like to be safe. I like to branch out. I want to be in, breaking out. I would say, who wants kicking the door? Me. That was me. I loved it. So nothing I've ever done is safe, but what keeps me in position is integrity, right? It's integrity and wanting to serve. But anyway, what I'm getting to is I don't believe that pensions should be so prevalent. And I know that's like, oh my God, he said pensions are not, but I want people to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Think businesses, franchises, investments that double, triple money, where it not necessarily. Okay, last thing I'll say is the middle class, they make their money work for them, right? This is my foundation. And I was brought up a very low income area in the Bronx, public schools my whole life, until, I got in college and got into first responder world. But they say that middle class, you make your money work for you, but the rich do not do that. They make other people's money work for them by using leverage. So like a franchise, like having your own business, buying into other people's businesses. So that is where I ask the people watching to think about that concept.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because I'm like you also. I think for me, like the pensions and things of that sort, it's kind of like a supplemental thing that's gonna, hey, worst comes to worst, I'm going back to fried bologna and cheese and mac and cheese. That if I need to do that, I will, and that's what my pension can give me. But I looked at it as, hey, I got that to fall back on, but I want to bet on myself.
Yep.
The cool part I want to make sure and clarify, because I know it's not what you're saying, but I have heard enough people talk about this, and that is, business, franchising, all that kind of stuff, it may not be for you. Again, going back to that self-awareness. But if you're not going so far out on the limb to do things like I know I've done, and you maybe only want to go halfway out on that limb, well, then you can join a franchise. Franchises have a proven system, and so, when you have proven systems and procedures, you can go out on that limb, but you're not going all the way out. They call it, being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So there are varying levels of business or investments that can be outside of a pension, but I absolutely love that we have that kind of stuff, because there again, you never know what might happen to you health-wise. That maybe you go out on that limb, something happens to you health-wise, and you can't do it. No matter what your heart or your mind wants, maybe you physically can't do it. Maybe your family's taking care of you. They can't invest in that. So sometimes, making sure that you have those supplemental things. And like Jim said earlier, be as aggressive as you can, as much as you can do. And, but if you got a business, you're going to have to invest in yourself also. So you're going to have to vary that. But I love that. Obviously, you're the head of the First Responders Young Professionals Network, because you speak very well about that. So no, I think it's great, man. And I'm excited to get on the road, the show on the road, when it comes to people being able to ask questions and kind of get into the nuts and bolts. So on that note, I'll go ahead and we're going to bring you back here in just a second. Okay, Trey? All right, brother. On that note, I'll talk about what I talked about before, which is, in business, I had a lot of different things that I've tried in business just to kind of get my big toe in the water, then maybe the next business, get my foot in the water and kind of go on and on. But with BioTechs, our crime scene cleaning company, the thing that was that stood out for me is I wanted to have something that I knew would allow me to franchise at one point, like be the franchisor. And so I wanted to start this business with the intent of franchising and being able to provide our business to other people to be able to make their own money, but at the same time, as a franchisor, as an investor in franchising, it would allow me to also make money, because you have franchise fees, things of that sort. So with BioTechs, that's what we did. We started our business. We've been around for I think 20 years now. And let's see here. Yeah. So we've been around for about 20 years now. We have our home base is here in San Antonio, and we've franchised into Dallas and Houston. So yeah, we have successful franchises. I'm very happy about that. And there you go with our Houston franchise and our Dallas franchisees. Yeah. So we got those guys and they're kicking butt, and I'm so excited. It's so neat to be able to provide for people. And I love to provide. I've lived a life of service, and through our business, we get to provide for people in the community that are in need of our services. And then we are able to provide for our franchisees. So I think we might have a little short video. I think we do. That might be able to describe a little bit more about my business and my wife's business, Audrey. That's a little something just to kind of give you an idea of what we do. We're in the crime and trauma scene cleaning industry, and we go out and we provide for people who are going through some of the most traumatic times in their lives. And so with homicides, suicides, unattended deaths, things of that sort. And so we're there for them. We're able to provide a service where we go in and relieve them of the trauma, emotionally and physically, of having to go in and a lot of times having to clean up after the loss of a loved one. So that's what we do. And so I'm going to get into the difference between owning a business on your own and a franchise business, and see if maybe that might work. Maybe give you a little bit more of an idea of, hey, is something like that for me, or do I want to be my own guy and I want to be able to, or guy or gal, and do it my own way. So we're about to bring our guest back on. Let's go ahead and let's bring them on real quick. We'll do that here in just a minute. All righty. All right, guys. Hey, so thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate that. We are going to go ahead and start with some questions. First thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and have a little fun. Let's go ahead and see what we've got. We've got a trivia question.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous already.
Yeah, let's see what you got. All right. So the Realty trivia. Which famous person's estate has two pools? One on the east side for morning sun and one on the west for afternoon enjoyment. Wow. All right. Let's see what we got. Jim, what do you think?
Hemingway lived in Florida, so I don't think it was him. I seen his house. I'd say Jackie Kennedy up there.
George?
I'm going to say it was John Lennon. C.
Trey?
I'm going to say Alpha Jackie the Kennedy.
All right. Let's give us the answer. Anybody else got it? Let's see. What's the answer, girls?
Boom.
Wow.
Oh,
Nice.
Thank you very much. I'm out.
I thought John Lennon lived in New York City.
Trey, you would like the commission on that, wouldn't you?
Damn.
Well, it's no big deal. And I can get you that house.
Dwayne got it right. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, hey,
Dwayne
Killian. Big shout out to Dwayne. Love Dwayne.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right. So let's get into this. So what would you, let's talk about the clothing industry real quick. There's a lot of people who say, hey, I got a great idea. Got a great, I know I can do shirts. I know I can do hats, things of that sort. Let somebody in on kind of like, if you're thinking about getting into the clothing industry, what are some of the thoughts, experiences, things of that sort that you had as you went into the, clothing or brand industry?
I'm telling you, it was funny. I call myself the accidental entrepreneur, or the people were pushing me. I really had no intention. And I guess I'll do this little story. I ran into a father and son at the airport, and they asked me they saw my shirt and they asked me about it. Hey, what a cool brand. And the son's sitting there and he's kind of yoked up and everything else. And he's like, hey, tell them about your brand and everything. And I'm not going to say what it was because, but it was something like Elite CrossFit Extreme, right? And, he's buffed out, looked amazing. And he's won several CrossFit competitions and they're telling me the story about it. And I'm listening, and he's 20, by the way, he's 22 years old. And he'd won some CrossFit competitions, 22 years old, yoked out, right? Guys, all of us at 22, we were all yoked out, right? All of us? Jim, yes? All of us.
About 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, right? So Trey, yes?
Yoked out on beer.
Yeah.
You just had one. I saw it.
No.
Turn your camera off.
Muscles, right? So at 22 years I say at 22 years old, and of course, and he's telling me about his story, and he created this brand, and she showed me the shirts, and it was a cool logo, right? It had some cool, and it actually was kind of cool. And the dad said, but they're having trouble getting traction. It's there, but it's all this, and I'm just listening, and of course speaking very frankly, like I do, because all of you know me, and they said, "What do you think?" And I said simply, "There's no journey. There's nothing there. At 22 years old, you should look that way. And at you won some CrossFit competitions and you're nationally ranked. That's amazing. What I like, and I'm speaking for myself, only my opinion about some brands that mean something to me or companies that have a message. There's a journey. Everybody here that I'm looking at, man, has a journey and has a story. Only because I know you, Trini, I know you, Trey, and I know you, Jim. We've testified, we've lived this life, and we've had a journey. This brand that I had, I'm on the wrong side, this brand that I've had, it has a journey, it has a meaning dating back hundreds of years to my family's service. And I talk about that when I speak about my journey. So when you're going to get into something and you're just going to slap a logo on something, and say, I'm going to print t-shirts and it's just going to have a cool phrase, I just hope there's a message behind it, because I think just slapping something really cool on it and thinking it's going to take off, I don't know. How many, we call them entrepreneurs, right, Trey? Guys who want to be entrepreneurs, but they're not, right? They're entrepreneurs.
Yep,
but they don't know,
yeah.
They don't have quite the journey yet to understand what that means. And I guess if you're going to get into the clothing business, understand there's a lot of brands out there, and especially veteran owned, right? I mean, we could all rattle off a lot of veteran owned brands, police officer, fire. I see them all over the place, and but what sets you aside? And you know what I mean? And for me, I was very, very fortunate that through a lifetime of training in martial arts, a lifetime of service for the Marine Corps and for in the police department, and because I belonged to a smaller department before then, and before then I was a detention officer, and 20 some odd years of service, right? 25 years of service is where this came from. So when other people come in at 22, 23, even 30 years old and say, I'm going to launch this brand, and I it's funny enough, I've been contacted a lot, Trini, about this. What do I do? And I listened to some of their stories. I said, that's a great story. Run with it, right? I'll mention him right now. Gary Ellis has an amazing story. He's my brother. I love him. And I listen to other people who come to me with a story, and I think, what does it mean? What's your, doesn't it sound badass? Doesn't it sound amazing? And I'm like, it does, but what's your story? What's your niche behind that? You know, what was that? So I guess if I had to say it, I hope in nowadays people want to know what that really means. And if it's some just, I don't know, a saying or a slapped on logo, I don't know.
I think what's important, and first off, let me give a shout out to Gary, because I really like that guy a lot, man. He was absolutely a great joy to have on the show, and I can't wait to have him back on, because that dude, I get that same feeling I get from all three of you, you know, and that is, you know, being very genuine. You know, the man has experience, yet very humble, loves to laugh, loves to have fun. I'm sure he's badass to hang out with. I know, you know, Trey, you guys hang out a lot. So he has a great story, and I can't wait to have him back on. One thing I'll take from you with a clothing brand versus, like, let's say a realty company or something like that is with a clothing brand, I think you're spot on, because if I think of some of these companies that you hear what their title is of their company, whatever, and it's cool, but one thing that got me about Viciously Loyal, first thing I thought about was, man, I am viciously loyal to this or viciously loyal to that. One of the things I thought about was working out. I just am. I'm extremely viciously loyal to working out because of, you know, all the positives that it does for me, all the things it helps me mentally to get through. I remember thinking how, man, who the hell does this on vacation? Who goes on vacation, gets up every morning, you know, doesn't feel good from the night before, you know. I was feeling good last night, but I wasn't feeling good the morning.
Just one more.
Yeah. And I still turned around and worked out. And I thought about that. And of course, I thought about family. I thought about, you know, my profession, you know, all that. It just rolled on in my mind about what I was viciously loyal to. And so to me, I thought that's what resonated with me, why I believe in that brand so much. And I think that's important. You know, there we are having a little lunch. See that shirt? Nice shirt, man. Hey, on that note,
I just sent the Gracies that shirt.
Yeah, very cool. We're going to talk about that. Damn it. So on this, we've got, but that's a good teaser. On this, I just want to highlight real quickly that we lost a dear friend of ours, and today was his funeral, Mark Poynton. And there he is right there. Amazing dude, man. Tons of fun to be around. Great heart. And one thing that Viciously Loyal is doing right now is they're having a fundraiser. We're going to show it, but George, would you mind just letting people know where they can find this and what it's about?
Yes. Let me first preface, and give me a second, that we've been in constant contact with Mark's widow, his wife, and to get approval for this, because we just wanted to make sure that it was okay. We wanted to honor him, honor his service and what he was about. Warrior's Heart is a great organization in Bandera, Texas, and they help military, first responders, and fire with chemical dependency, alcoholism, PTSD, any mental disorder that can kind of come from the job that we do. And they help in that healing process. And so I think it's very important. It's what's going on right now. I know that we don't get a lot of play in the media of what goes on in our daily lives, but it is an issue with us, and it is an issue with first responders and fire and military, how it can impact our life, both mentally, emotionally, and as we say, to our soul, and what it can be about. So that's a fundraiser we're doing. 10% of our proceeds for the rest of this week go to the Warrior's Heart Foundation for all our apparel. And, we're just giving everything we can to that organization right now, because it matters, because it's something that's relevant, that's going on, not just in our nation, but within our own department, that we see that people that we know people that suffer from this, from either some issue. Anyway, and
I do want to clarify, just for people who don't know, that wasn't the situation when it comes to his passing. It was what he asked for in lieu of flowers.
Thank you.
He cared, is very passionate about that organization and helping people as a giver. And so that's the purpose for that. They asked for that. It's what he wanted, and that's why they're doing it. So
and
excellent.
I'm sorry. That organization is only to, I'm not sure if you guys said it, but it's only to veterans, police, fire, EMS, first responders, which makes it even better because of some of the stigma and some of the culture problems that we have in the first responder world is, well, I don't want to, I'm fine. Suck it up. Just
drink water.
Right. Drink water and go. But this is where we start changing the culture very, very slowly. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there to let's say anybody.
Very happy you brought that up. And when we go to
Trey's right. And thank you, Trey.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a very funny kind of thing, right? You want to give, you want to donate, you want to help. But that's what it is. And it's in his honor, because that was what they wanted, what the family wanted. And I want to clarify that this wasn't they wanted it. That's all.
And it's good, George, because you think we're just talking to us and that, but some people might not know. And so I thought that was a good thing to point out, and they would know that everyone we know knows it. So, end result, it's a great organization, great thing that you guys are doing. Thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate it. So let's go to Trey. What was your why, and why did you want? What is Realty? What does that do for you? I mean, I know with George, it's awesome because he gets the opportunity. George and Annalisa get the opportunity to be able to, have so much passion behind their logo and their saying, their company. With you, what is your purpose? What was your drive? What was your why for the Realty business?
So honestly, it's kind of simple. I had a horrible experience with a realtor. I hope she's not watching right now. I'm sure you're doing great. But I had, honestly, I wanted to go to jail for her because, it was just, anyway, I can go on for hours. It was a horrible experience. So I said, you know what? This is not cool, because in the real estate world, there's realtors, there's title people, there's lenders, there's all these people, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Just get it right. And anyway, so in our profession, we enter a house, we're communicating a certain task or mission or call, you know, we have to over communicate. It's better to always to over communicate. So that sparked me to get my real estate license. After I got my real estate license, my first 6 months, I sold 10 houses. My first year, I sold 20 houses. This is all part-time. Then my second only full year, I sold 55 houses, part-time realtor. Just me, not my team. Then this year, we're doing over 65. We brought on over 25 agents, and my team alone is 10. But here's what I'm getting at. It's not that I pay a lot of money into these advertisements and everything. It's only because I do the right thing for people. My values, ever since I was a wee lad in the Boogie Down Bronx, I said I need to help people. That is in my blood. I was a young kid in 9/11, and you know, there's a little story behind that. But I did not. I needed to do some kind of service. The police department, there's too many restraints. There's too many higher ups who haven't seen a patrol car or a domestic violence situation in their whole careers. And they should be ashamed that they're not on the street, that they're not answering these calls, helping these people. But they'll be the first to fire you and to do all this other stuff. Anyway, what I'm getting at is one way that is lacking in the support of first responder families and any family is financial freedom. And where it all starts, most people get their financial freedom from real estate. And that comes from lower class, middle class. You know, it all is the foundation of real estate. And I'm not afraid to say this sucks. Don't get this. Don't go with this guy, because I love confrontation. I love being in the shit. You know, I love it. So anyway, what I do is I basically molded that into a business. And anybody that's listening to this, anytime you see a problem with a system, or like, man, I could do this so much better, do it, execute. Just like these guys here in this call, freaking geniuses, in my opinion, and influenced my life. So just execute.
So I know, you know, when some of the people are going to want to know, you know, when you get into a business, or James, when we're talking about like investments, I mean, you have to be able to, again, I go back to that self-awareness, because I love, Jim, that you were like, hey man, I kind of like this, you know, this avenue of going. I'm not really the guy that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I'm not really that guy that really wants to go out on that limb when it comes to that, besides how busy you are, because you do so much for our department, so much for people, that your charity, your way of giving back is going out representing us and all the things that you do, along with all the committees that you're on. So, you know, that's the other thing. If I'm going to be involved in things like this, and I'm going to go and give to these officers by researching, by talking to people up in, you know, Capitol Hill and Austin, you know, at the Capitol, I have to also know that, do I really want to put the time into this? Because I don't care what kind of business you're in. I don't care if you're selling snow cones. There is more work than people realize goes into it. And there's also that whole investment thing where you never know what's going to happen with your health, whatever. I think that when I see all that you do, you sit there and you say, I don't even know if I have the time for anything like that. I'm so involved in everything that I do. I mean, do you think that that is a part of what somebody should consider before they start a business, you know?
Well, you know, like I said, not being a business owner, that's a tough one to answer on that side. But I would tell you that I get so much enjoyment on what I have done, even though it's hard to sleep at night sometimes, because I really try to take it to heart. I'm not trying to, you know, brag on myself, but I take pride in the fact that I know we're responsible for over 5,000 families, counting fire, police, and all the unborn. Let's not forget the unborn who aren't on our pension, who aren't firemen and police officers yet. And you know, everybody, like I said, first of all, Trey, I didn't even recognize you with the beard, first of all. And for the record, there aren't 3 cameras on me, because I know every camera adds 10 pounds on me. So, okay.
I was going to make that joke off camera.
That's okay. But, you know, and, you know, sometimes we look back in life and go, wow, if I'd have done this, maybe things would have been different here. But we always have to look. The way things are right now, think of the blessings we wouldn't have had. I'd never try to second guess. And I said, when it came to investments, I admire you guys. And Trey, I admire you. I mean, that's tough, giving up that financial security of the pensions. I mean, I admire you for doing that. And I did love your commercial too. That was pretty cool. But
So goofy.
no, it was good. It was really good. And like I said, first of all, I think every one of us enjoy what we're doing. And that's I think the most important thing. And George, the faith family service is a great model. And give a shout out to your wife who's getting promoted in 2 weeks.
I'm still in
Awesome,
charge.
man.
I'm still in charge.
Congratulations.
We know
I'm
better
still,
than
Jim,
that.
I'm still in charge.
No, you're not. None of us are in charge at home. We say that on here. Oh, we're on live. So
One live.
Something that James, you said, you work insanely hard to get our unborn and 5,000 families what they need in their financial freedom and in their security. It's funny. All of us here on this podcast are doing the exact same thing. We all have the same values. We have the same goals. And that's the beauty of the diversification, is that if somebody's not saying like, oh, I'm not getting in business, I'd rather just have security. And that's what makes me feel good. That's what feels like. And so anyway, the availability of all these opportunities is just I'm just being grateful right now. Okay. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So let me, I believe in like what I'm doing with me and my wife, Audrey, what we're doing with BioTechs. If you don't believe in what it is that you're doing, when the times get tough, you're going to have a hard time. I mean, a really hard time, because it can be difficult, man. You can't predict the markets. Again, you don't know if anything's going to happen health-wise or anything. And ultimately, do you have something that's sustainable through all of that? I think that's important when you get into a business, or if you're going to get into something that's kind of risky, or maybe you're the only person in your household that can do that type of work. Or I think it's important that, back to Jim, you have those things that are there that, if nothing else, they get you over, some humps that are in the road. And we all know that life comes with a lot of squiggly lines. You got point A, point B. You wish that you could get there in a straight line, but it just doesn't happen, man. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important, if you're going to get into business, that you consider not just your heart, because you got to be smart about, am I in the right situation? Maybe 5 years on is not enough. Maybe I need to be 10 years on, so I feel a little more comfortable, or, whatever. I mean, it's really looking at all the other circumstances involved with whatever it is that you want to do. You might end up having, for instance, BioTechs. If I didn't have the experiences from the other things that I tried, maybe BioTechs wouldn't have been as successful, because I had to learn some things first, and I had to learn them on a smaller scale before I made a bigger investment, turn around and then, bet everything on that big deal. Did you guys have experiences before, or was this your first thing? I mean, obviously, Trey, in your intro, we had that you were an app developer. Was that before, or was that after? Did you have anything beforehand that kind of prepared you for business? This is important for people who are thinking, I want to start a business, but damn, that was important to hear that.
Yeah, so I'm developing some real estate apps. I mean, not me. I'm hiring a team to do it, but honestly, the foundation of any business that I start, it is, what is the problem? What can you do to fix it that's going to improve morale, and what's going to improve a process? So Mark Zuckerberg, love him or hate him, the guy is extremely successful. And he says, for anybody that's starting a business, it's not about, I can make a lot of money this way. That is not how you start a business. It is, I see a problem here, or I can do this service way better than these people. So that should really be the bottom line to starting any business.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I know when you provide something that people want or need, that's one of those formulas, for success. I mean, for instance, I know that, there's some people that are commenting that have some businesses, and of some of those businesses that pop up, to include mine, you're never going to go, nobody's ever going to want to go in and clean after the loss of a loved one. No one's ever going to, it's not like we're all going to evolve and it's like, oh, we all are going to do this. It's not seasonal, because unfortunately these situations come up all the time. And remember, we're having a business conversation. So we're kind of, we're talking from the business perspective of things. And so, looking into businesses like that, I think it was important for me because I thought about car washes. You know, a lot of policemen own car washes. I thought about different things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just, for me, it was more of a, okay, but this is why maybe in the wintertime, I don't know if people wash their cars as much. And, you know, it was things like that. You know, is there something that insurance will cover? You know, because insurance does cover the cost of a lot of our situations. So I knew that was an opportunity that was going to be a positive thing in business. So that was kind of my thought process and how I looked into business. George, when you got into this business, did you have any experience beforehand? You know,
well, a little bit. Of course, it was on the training side, right? I worked for Peacekeeper Products. I worked for the Karate Restraint Institute. I worked for Alpha Warrior. Alpha Warrior, that was my first, I guess, business mentor, David Nolan, right? Anybody who's listening, please Google Dave Nolan. And that was my accidental business mentor, and I didn't realize it. I ended up in meetings, in talks that I really didn't realize what I was there for. Now looking back now, 10 years ago, what Dave was doing for me. I was getting an education that MBAs go to school for. David Nolan, Hill Country Bakery, used to bake for all 13,000 chains of Starbucks. Now owns the Alpha Warrior. Now does Zuno Protect America. And anyway, I can go on and on about David Nolan, but he was my first experience with business, and I was just there to guard his facilities. Then I became the voice of the Alpha Warrior. I did that was the hype guy. And then, of course, I started working for Mr. Tanzini for Peacekeeper. And then I started working for Jim Boyd for the Karate Restraint Institute. And those people actually kept telling me, all of them, to do this Viciously Loyal. But I had no experience. I didn't really understand what it was I was going to be. I'm telling you that first event that Annalisa and I did, we had a table, a little fold-out table. It was very small, and nothing else other than 2 shirts and a hat. It was pitiful. It was terrible. And we had a banner that folded over. So presentation was not there. And we sat there with a cooler, right, full of water and beer, whatever, it doesn't matter. And but my banners horribly said Viciously Loyal. And my mom always said to smile, and people will smile back. So I just sat there and smiled. And people came up. It was 2 different people came at the same time, and I remember it. And the guy said, "What's Viciously Loyal?" And I'm not going to go into it. You guys have heard it plenty of times. And I explained to them what it was. And they started pulling out their wallets and started buying. And with that, I thought, man, maybe this is something. And then the why, right? We always talk about the why. When I was able to, from the first dollar we made, I told Anna, we're going to donate. And from that first check that we wrote to that charity, that's what lit the fire.
Awesome.
Because we're all servants, right? And that's what motivated me. And I plan to do it, and I plan to make and give, because it fills my heart. It makes me happy. And I didn't join the Marine Corps to make a lot of money. I didn't join the infantry, right, to make a lot of money. I didn't join the police department to make a lot of money, and I hadn't been training for over a decade to make a lot of money. So if I'm making this and I'm giving back, then I feel like I'm winning. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's where it all comes from. But anyway, that was my experience with business. And I was able to, other businessmen just kind of took me, and I didn't realize what I was learning until I was around them, these multimillionaires, and go, oh, okay, you're just very focused. And that's what I started to do. And now my focus, of course, is police work. I love it, right? And I was doing some cool stuff today. It doesn't matter, cool police stuff, right? We all know what we do every day. And then I get to come here and I get to move around my house and look at inventory and focus on that as well. So it's been wonderful.
Well, I think, a couple points to take away from that. One is, if you're going to look into getting into a business, pay attention to businesses. Look, you were working at a business, or you were working for somebody in business. Man, I better start making notes. Better start thinking, how's this dude carry himself? How's he talk to people? Maybe I can ask some questions. A lot of people are willing to help, if you ask, and you're able to find a mentor. So there's a second thing. See if you can find a mentor. You guys have mentored me. It's given me confidence to be able to move forward. Trey, with Trey just recently retiring and all, and it was like, all right, somebody else is out there that's willing to put it out on the line and do it. And it just continues to build. If you know what you're looking for, you can make it work for you. But if you go to a job and you're just there and you're thinking about business, man, start paying attention to what's going on around you in business. And I think that that's a great thing. And again, if you can find mentors, Joe Smaro was Solution Point Plus. He talked about his mentor is very important to him. I mean, if you start looking at successful people, they all have mentors. So on that note, who are some people that you look up to in a YouTube world that somebody who's listening would be able to say, hey, I'd like to search that guy? For instance, for me, I like Gary Vaynerchuk. I think Gary, one of the things I love about him is he's like no BS. He speaks very straight, very direct, and but he makes a lot of sense. He's awesome when it comes to being able to talk about making sure you're self-aware. That's like the biggest thing in business. If you go out and you start a podcast and you're trying to be fake, or you're trying to portray yourself to be something you're not, it's not going to last very long. People are going to sift through it in a heartbeat. They'll research you. They'll find out if you're being legit. And ultimately, it can't last for very long. So why even start with that? Just be real, be genuine. That's what makes it through the noise of today in social media. So that's somebody I listen to and the reasons why I do. Trey?
So, man, I am a business nerd. So everybody I listen to is pretty much somebody in real estate investing. I would say Keith Weinhold. He is a Forbes writer. He's written books. He really, the way I heard of him is he said, cash is not king. And it resonated because I said, well, what do you mean? I mean, if I have $1 million cash, I mean, that's pretty good. He said, nope. You imagine having $1 million worth of leverage, which is very different than having $1 million in cash. So anyway, Keith Weinhold is probably my number one influence mentor on YouTube.
You know what I like about that is that, we keep Federal Reserve prints money all the time, man. You look at your money today and then look at it next week and start to see what happens to your dollar. So cash, can depreciate in its value, but your investments, Jim, with the investments of the pension and ICMA, or not ICMA, what'd you say, 457?
Yeah, it's just a tax code, basically.
Yeah. So, when you have those investments, I mean, if you stay with them long enough and you get a little education on when you should pull out, because a lot of people can pull out when the economic, downturn happens and they pull out and they don't give it a chance to come back up, things like that. But to me, that's a part of that. Cash is just one angle of cash is king. That's what I remember hearing about. Jim, who do you listen to? Who inspires you, motivates you when it comes to somebody that somebody could benefit from? Because I'm sure with all your experience, you have people that you listen to when it comes to that type of.
I've been real fortunate. A lot of my mentors are ones not necessarily on TV, but I personally, people I've met in the finance world. Like I said, I didn't know what a basis point was back in the day. There's so many things I just didn't know, but I had great mentors when I got on the board. I didn't know anything about finance. I have to get a shout out to old Sean Urey. Sean is a freaking brilliant man. And he got educated on it, and he was great. And I had other board members that just taught me. It was totally different than other organizations I had been in. It was one of those where everybody in the organization wanted everyone else to get smarter. You know how it is. We see it. Some knowledge is power. People want to keep that to themselves sometimes because they want the credit. I haven't seen that on the pension board on my 10 years I've been there. Everybody wants everyone else to get smarter. And like I said, I've met so many brilliant people in the finance world. And I know that's eventually when the time comes to exit what we're doing today. I feel so fortunate. I've had such a great job, great career. We all know how many laughs we have in a day.
Mm-hmm.
How much do we laugh at work?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the COVID kind of taught me because my kids, I'm late bloomer, 17, 14-year-old. And I said, thank God I'm essential and I have to leave the house. No, but great family. But
that's awesome.
I would get bored, but I'd tell you, Trini, you hit something that kind of intrigued me tonight. Is a lot of us, we're trying to build up our it's hard to go in the weeds or drop accounts, but it's substantial amount of money. And if you've done well and you've made sacrifices, which I have over the years, and put as much as I can in ICMA and our healthcare funds, you know, we're going to have the ability to maybe do a franchise, take that risk that someone else has done. And, you know, I've always been intrigued about that. But I said, I know there's going to be opportunities for me once we get to some normalcy, once the COVID and other things go away. But
Yeah.
And my YouTuber I do watch has absolutely nothing to do with business is Corvette Conti. For the record, I'm in the queue for 2020 vet. Okay. not a good investment, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I deserve it. And I got permission. Permission.
You've got to reward yourself.
I get it in November.
Awesome,
so.
Man. Awesome. What model?
It's it's the Stingray. That's all they have right now.
Oh,
but It's that whole new style change. And it was hard.
That's going to be.
I put the order in last August. And
Dude, with the size of your freaking shoulders and everything, how you going to fit in that thing?
It's my
panza.
It's my panza that gets in the way. you know.
Hey, I'll tell you, just so you know, George, Andy here just said he just bought that new VL gear, man. So that's pretty cool, dude. Yeah, man. Thank you very much for your support, Andy. Hey, man, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but Solution Point Plus says Tom, and I think it's, dude, I don't remember how to pronounce it, but you see it on the screen. He's his number one to go to for business inspiration and growth mindset. I love that dude. I listen to him. I just need to remember how to pronounce his name now. So Claudia says she's going to drive the vet.
Yeah.
That's why she gave you permission to get it.
That's why you buy that thing.
What's that?
She's gonna drive it. That's the only reason you were able to get it, because she's gonna drive it.
She wouldn't let
you
me
get to drive it on Tuesday. You get to drive it on Tuesday.
You know, Jim, on one of those notes, and I'll go on this route, is with the franchises. I think it's a good time to go ahead and talk about that, because 1 in every 12 businesses in the USA is a franchise business. You know, and I think that's pretty impressive. It's like 700, and I got some notes. It's 733,000 franchise locations in the U.S. Franchises support 14 million workers in the U.S. And one of the things I think is interesting is a lot of people will talk about, okay, well, hey, I want to own a Subway, for instance. And I made a note on Subway makes $416,000. This is average, $416,000 per year before expenses. And even though it's the world's biggest and most successful franchises, when you start taking away expenses, you could be surprised on what you actually are taking home from some franchise business, like a restaurant type business, things of that sort. So when you're in the market for going into a franchise, you want to make sure you understand what it is that franchise does as far as take home. I met somebody who's in a similar industry as mine, but they weren't in the actual crime and trauma scene cleaning industry. They were in a water restoration business. Pretty popular company. They drive around in green vans, put it that way. And man, their money was great, what they brought in, but what they took home blew me away. And I'm not saying that that's for every franchisor. I'm talking this one experience from this one franchised owner of this company, and it blew me away. So I think it's very important as you go into a franchise situation that you really study, what the difference is between what you take home compared to what you make. I think that's very important, along with things like, do you have to have full-time employees that you're paying out all the time? Because then you got turnover, where you spend all this time and effort training somebody, and then you turn around and they're gone, and all that experience is out the door. Things like that are important to consider. And so I think that when it comes to with franchises versus going it on your own, when you think about not just how much money you'll put into a franchise system, but you think about because a lot of people get hung up on royalty fees, but man, what's it going to cost you in time to try to figure it out on your own? What's it going to cost you in your target audience or target market for your type of business? For instance, a lot of people will think, oh man, go to the most populated area and start your crime scene cleaning business. That's not the formula. And people don't know. They think more people, it would turn into more money. So by the time you start to find these things out, have you already gone through your investment that you had originally just to do it on your own? Are you going through it by the time you learn all these lessons? Do you have any more money to even operate anymore? So I think these are the types of things that you have to really think about when you decide whether or not you want to try to do it on your own organically. Because let me ask you guys, how hard is it to find a good website company, a good company to build your website, a good company to help you with search engine optimization? It doesn't matter how great you are if no one can find you. Look at these commercials that Trey has. In fact, check this little social media piece out that Trey put out to get some attention. It's pretty good.
I'm scared.
Hey guys, I reached another milestone today. Really proud of it. I ate 10 Peter Piper pizzas in one sitting. I know.
Hey, what did that have to do with his business? Yeah, he was wearing his shirt. But you know what, people, some advice you may not understand when it comes to having somebody to guide you is just be you, post some cool, funny stuff like that. It's real. People will trust going with somebody like that. And a lot of times, if you don't have that guidance or experiences to pull from, you don't know that that's the kind of stuff you're supposed to do to be able to separate you from the pack.
And may I defend myself?
Mm-hmm.
So, the marketing like that, and believe it or not, it is marketing because you're you. That's the thing is social media, it just magnifies who you are. Whether, if you're all about training and learning, and that's what you're naturally going to post on social media. So I think it just really magnifies who you are. I have no justification for that. I was with my kids and I figured I'd just do a funny video.
Yeah.
But it also, I'd like to mention mindset. I mean, I love the word mindset. It gets thrown around a lot. One issue I see with our people, like-minded people like ourselves, is they have a scarcity mindset. They give me a discount. I need to save money. And that scarcity mindset is what slowly kills you. And it really, and killing in the sense of it kills your drive, it kills your ambition, because you just have to save. And I don't want to change my routine. I am far away from that as possible. What I have is a growth mindset and a leverage mindset. So if I'm going to get a babysitter because I'm going on this business meeting, that is leverage to me. I'm not thinking like, oh, let me not go on this meeting because I don't want to spend it on a babysitter.
I think that's very important because you find people that come in, and one of our processes when we're trying to pick a good franchisee for our franchise is, do they have that ability to be able to, for the mindset, to be able to recognize you've got to invest in your company and you're not always going to see an instant return. I mean, very few times do you see an instant return on your investments. So do you have that drive, that mindset to be able to say, I'm willing to put this much money per month in marketing? One thing I hear all the time is how do I know it's going to work? You don't. What do you know? What do you know about tomorrow? You don't know anything, but you have to educate yourself. You have to go to listen to these people. You have to listen to the people that are doing what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be in the industry necessarily, but just business-minded people. Jim, what you talked about when you go to your meetings and who you've been involved in with the pension board and all is great, intelligent people, smart people. You're supposed to surround yourself with people that you want to aspire to be like, people who've already done that. That's who you want to surround yourself with, because it's easy to be the big fish in a small pond. It's easy to hang out with your friends that have no desire to do anything, that maybe live on a fixed income that maybe, is not bad. And it's not bad. It's a matter of perception. Not everybody needs to have X amount of money. Not everybody needs to have the Corvette.
Yes.
Not everybody needs that. You deserve that, Jim.
See, Trey, you confirmed I should buy it.
That bet. So I'm not talking about you, but I'm saying there are a lot of people who don't have the means to afford a vet, and they're doing it to impress people they don't even like. Right? We've heard all that before. So I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because I'm huge on having money is not a bad thing. Wanting nicer things is not a bad thing. And I can't help people, Jim. You can't help. None of us can help anyone if we're not making our own money. So you got to make money to be able to help people. So on that note, I think surrounding yourself with people who want more, people who are willing to do more, people who have that mindset of risk and educated risk, things of that sort. I think it's very important in business to surround yourself with people who have that mindset. So that's a great point, Trey. What are some of the pitfalls that you guys have experienced in business? I think that's important for people who want to start a business. We've got a young man who's in the Marine Corps right now. Jordan Frady, thank you very much for your service. Yeah, there you go. He's saying, "Bruh," at home. Thank you, gentlemen. I was in the Air Force. That's why I don't really even try to do that real. Jordan and my daughter called it the Chair Force, whatever. So thank you, gentlemen, for the information. I want to franchise gyms after my service and school. Very informative. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan, for supporting us. So what are some of the pitfalls that you would give Jordan when it comes to business?
So what I would say is, why do you want to franchise gyms? Trini, you said, and you mentioned that example of a car wash. If officers that do car washes, or gyms, it's like, is it because you want to make money, or do you see an area that's like, man, the nearest car wash is 7 miles down the road. If I do a car wash here, now I don't have to drive so far. Boom. There's the necessity, there's the service, and there is the opportunity to create a business. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. George?
Yeah, no, I think that it's like I said, I may not be the correct one to give advice on all the pitfalls. I have been very blessed and very fortunate. I've had tremendous support. But to Trey's point, what is it you're after? That growth mindset, the I'm going to go for it mindset, the leverage mindset. I fell victim to that for many, many, many years. I put a certain amount of money away. I didn't think about business. Now I realize that, man, just that little bit of marketing that I'd held back on for such a long time recently has been paying dividends. I hadn't marketed at all and was doing fairly well for a very small company. And then we started actually putting forth a little money, and the outreach has been tremendous. I'm getting sales from all over the nation because, right, I invested, had that growth mindset, and said, well, when's this going to happen? The money may not be there now, but what I was looking for is that savings, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I think he froze up. Let me see if he froze up real quick. I think he froze up. Yeah. So Annalisa, the other part of Viciously Loyal, says instant return expectations. So true. George had to constantly remind me of this concept, and I eventually jumped in. So hopefully we'll get George back. So I think he froze up, or he just likes smiling a lot because his mom did tell him to smile. So,
he can't sit that long away.
And just so you know, Dwayne said, watch it. I was Air Force as well. That's what I'm talking about, Dwayne. Thank you, brother, for your service, man. So like when we're talking about pitfalls, Jim, what are some of the things you know of when it comes to investments? Like we're talking about, that 457, we're talking about what's one thing you would tell someone, hey, this is what you need to know. I know you gave us a couple earlier, but
my biggest thing, I kind of referred to it earlier, at least on the investment side, you have to work through those volatile markets. You have to be consistent, marathon, not a sprint. Don't look for that quick money, because there's a lot of people out there willing to take our money and rip you off. And to me, it's consistency. You're going to have to sacrifice. You sacrifice when you're younger. You give as much as you can. And especially where you guys are at, you need tax breaks. And anything you can give away that's a tax, where it's pre-tax, that helps me. I never realized we'd be so blessed as police officers. Never came into the job to make decent money, but we were very, very fortunate on the department we were at, and we're still in, except for you, Trey. But no, like I said, once again, I admire you for what you've done, and but it's all about, on our side, patience, due diligence, lots of due diligence. That's what I see. when we go out and we hire these managers, we have several levels of due diligence. We have consultants. We have our investment staff. We go and put boots on the ground as lay people. And that's where I learned more from doing that. When you're talking to these, like I said, it could be a hedge fund, it could be a large cap manager. It's all about the people. And when we're splitting those hairs at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the people I get as cops. We know it's the human element at the end of the day when we look. I'm talking pension stuff. Personally, it's just read, patience, slow and steady when it comes to the investments. Time in the market is very, very difficult. Very difficult. And
So you're talking about so you're talking about the long game.
it is the long game when it comes to investments, because the rule of compounding really works well. And that's where I tell every one of the young troops that graduate from the academy, I tell them, I said, pretend you have a lottery ticket in your pocket right now. Every one of you do 20 years. Oh, that was scary. I tell them, every one of you are millionaires today. If you do at least 20 years in, and I get it, it's the safe route, but it's for recruitment and retention. I'm pretty confident pensions won't go away for public safety, because they won't, especially in the policing side. You won't get, with everything going on. I hope the pendulum changes, but it's all about recruiting and retaining us. And if they stay in 20 years, they get that, and I tell them, put as much money as you can in your 457, especially now the way the healthcare is structured. Put as much as you can in your health savings account. That's another, that to me, I know we talked about it, Trini, earlier. It's the only thing I've heard in the tax code that has a triple tax benefit. And we have that ability now to do this, where everything you put up to IRS maximum, which I think is $7,000. It's pre-tax. It's like your pension. But anything you invest, we can invest that. You can put that into an investment tool. I'm not as risky on that, because I don't want to lose in case I need health care. I mean, we still have our active health care. But when we spend that, as long as it's on a bona fide medical expense, we don't have to pay anything on it. It could be Band-Aids. It could be aspirin. I wish we'd have done that 28 years ago. That is such a great system. And there's no reason any officer, especially brand new, should have to pay for any health care when they retire with our health care plan that we have too. You're right, Trini. That's the thing. Health is it. And you're the epitome of being brave. And I admire you for your fight that you have in you, being a 2-time cancer survivor, and what you've done for other people too. I digressed a little bit, but
No, that's perfect, man. I appreciate it. Number one, because it isn't easy. When you start talking about the long game, I'm still playing like I'm in the long game, because my heart is in it for those right reasons. I know that if I start playing the short game, then I start, how much money can I make on this job? Or how much can I, because I just want everything now because I'm scared. What if I'm not alive in this? Man, I talk about, my death a lot. Why? Because we're all going to die. So, it just depends on how you look at it, man. We're all going to die. So if you're afraid to talk about your death, you might leave, and you never want to talk about it. You might leave your family with the situation of, where do we bury them? Where do we do this? All that kind of stuff. So in that aspect, planning for your death is a great thing. But when you start talking about business, it's easy to start thinking, like I think George might have said earlier, the money can get to you, and yeah, we're all here to make a living, improve our families and all, but you're going to have to die one day. And when you die, if you're very fortunate to be able to die in a situation where you have time to see your family and your loved ones, well, guess what comes with that, man? You're going to have to die on your own. Nobody can go with you. So I talk about that. Nobody can. When I close my eyes, whether it be medicine that they give me so I'm not in pain or whatever the hell it is, when I close my eyes, I know damn well that's when the reckoning really comes. Because it's like trying to look in the mirror. You can't lie to the guy in the mirror, right? Same thing, I believe, when you die. I believe that when you die, how do you want to go? You want to go with that peace of mind where, I made mistakes. Yes, I could have been better. I could have done things different, hindsight. But do I feel good about who I am? Do I feel good about what I did in my one life to live? And now I get to lay back, and my son Tripp, he's on here now. He says, by the way, for genius speaking on business. My son introduced me to a song and it says, I want to fall in love with my last breath. Dude, that's freaking powerful. I want to know that when I take my last breath, that I lived a purposeful life. And I think if you're going to get into business, you can do it in the short game. You can play the short game, try to make as much money as you want. You're going to end up taking advantage of people. You're going to cut ties with a lot of people. Your reputation's going to go to shit. And I didn't work all these years and all these different services to have my reputation go down the tubes for playing the short game. So how you make your money, for me, and I know you guys feel the same way, is more important than how much I make. Now, I want to try to make as much as I can, but I think you need to keep this in mind if you're going to get into business. Driving a nice car, living in a nice house, going on vacations will be so much better if you did it the right way. And I believe that wholeheartedly with you guys on this show, or else you wouldn't be on this show, because it's my show. I'm the one that gets this thing on the air and puts all the time and effort with Deanna and Carly. So I know that living a purposeful life while making money is the way to go. Don't do it the other way, man. It'll affect your business, your reputation, and how you sleep at night. A good conscience makes for a soft pillow. That's my thing. And so doing things the right way is important to me and my wife. And so that's my advice that I would give. I know we're pushing up on 2 hours. It's an hour and 47 minutes. Again, if you have a question, something you want to, ask one of these guys, comment, something like that, and you decide you want to call in, go ahead and put that in the comments there in that comment section. If not, we'll test it out another time. All right. So what's something on the other end for people who want to start a business? What would you say is like I just did, my number one thing would be make your money the right way. That would be my advice to somebody when it comes to business. What do you guys have?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry I cut out there. Sorry about that. Totally my fault. No, I just to piggyback on what you said, and like I said, I don't know that my business experience is that unique, but because of like I hear my father's words all the time, and not a dark road between you. I was able to be there for my father's death, and it was actually an honor at the time. Being in the room while your father gasped for his last breath is not something that somebody goes, please let me be there. But afterwards, man, it was a great experience. And having said that, I hear his words all the time. All the time I hear him about how to conduct myself, how to treat people. And in business, it has paid dividends. I didn't know it was, but like I said, I've had a lot of support. So if you do the right thing, do it for the right reason, be a man of your word or a person of your word, it's going to pay dividends. And you treat people right? And we talked about that earlier. Trey said, treat people the way they're supposed to be treated because he had this horrible experience, right? And that's what'll help you. And that's what'll benefit you in life. If you're chasing the dollar, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to benefit you. The journey is part of it, and that taking the right road in the journey, that's what's going to benefit you. At least, of course, I'm speaking for myself. And after a lifetime of service, or not even a lifetime, 20 some odd years of service. And when somebody calls, I show up. When somebody asks for help, I help. When somebody needs assistance, I give it. And not when it's just convenient. And that has benefited me in business,
awesome,
life, personal, always.
Yeah. I know, softball by fat. It's, I believe your business will grow better by doing the right thing and treating people right. If you think about, I don't care how you want to look at it, whether it be religion, karma, whatever you believe in. I just think that is a formula for success and it's going to sound heady, but I just think in your heart, man, if you're just, I believe that it comes back around, man. I just do. I believe that when you give, when you do the right thing, and you stick it out, man, I just believe that people will recognize that, appreciate that. And if you get the opportunity through marketing, so I think that's, a lot of times, how is anyone else going to know that Trey is a legit realtor that's not going to screw you, that cares more about his reputation than he does making the quick dollar. And of course, word of mouth, right?
needs the business because he eats too much Peter Piper pizza.
Well, I want to say that I think it's awesome to be able to highlight you guys on this show, man. Because if anyone, I'll tell you, with our department, I said, like with Jim, his sacrifices, along with everybody up there, PAC committee, we're talking about like just everybody up there. I'm so proud of our department and the guys that are up there at the forefront of all these different committees. I never got into it, but I thank our association president. I thank these guys all the time because I know what it takes through running a business. That's like running a business, man. You still got people working with you. You still got people working under you, over you. You got people you have to answer to. I mean, there's a lot of parallels to what you do, Jim, in running a business. You might be surprised, dude. I think that your experiences that you're taking, I think are going to be awesome if you decide to go into business. And again, you start looking out at those mentors and start watching what they're doing and asking questions. Not to say that you haven't, but I think that, dude, you're prime.
Well, the business, it is remember, it's a $3.2 billion business, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. Do have to give a lot of shout out to Claudia. I'm gone a lot from home. Same thing, talking to troops. I love going to roll calls. It's been kind of tough with COVID, but I love being out there with the guys. And every time, once a year, twice a year, we have retirees come in, and we give them their plaques. And that's my pay. That's my pay. And like I said, a lot of times I do things at the sacrifice of the family, but they understand it. It's part of giving back. Or like I said, everyone on this panel, you've given, everybody's given back. And I think that's where we get our real big payment.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Audrey. Now, I want to say, if you don't have a partner who understands what you're trying to do, if they're not in it with you, you're going to have a difficult time. I think when I talk about franchisees, if I have to meet their significant other, because if their significant other isn't on board, I know what kind of road they're about to go down. And the big thing for me is I don't want them to invest in something when they don't have the support of your significant other or your family, because, man, how can you survive like that for very long? Yeah. I mean, how it takes late nights, it takes asking, the family to give more money or trust in you that you're going to go to this conference and you're going to invest in the recordings and you're going to do all this stuff in an effort to benefit the family, but there's no guarantee. I mean, if you have somebody in one ear going, oh, I don't think this is going to work. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, how long are you going to be gone? I mean, are you going to go out and eat? Man, I got to go eat because there's people that are at the restaurants or there's people at the bar, and it's like golf. You're going to go do business, and you have to have that money to be able to do those things, or you're going to have a tough time. You got to have that money. You got to have that support of people to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So that's my little thing on that. So James, when you said that, I thought about Claudia, and that made me think about the support. I think it's very important to have that support. K-Rod Rodriguez said, George didn't treat me very well in the academy.
Oh, I am so going to punish him later.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah. I didn't treat anybody well in the academy. But you love me for it now.
Dwayne, let's see. Dwayne says, no questions. Just want to say, Trini, oh, man, you know how I feel about you and your family. You're one of the most real people I know. Jim, love you, buddy, and all you stand for. Thanks for all you do for us. George, your smile is infectious, especially when it's on the screen for like a minute. Stuck. And it's talking about, George, you're a good man, and I'm proud of you, buddy. Yeah, man. Very cool. We had Mary Morales say, you guys are awesome. We all see the hard work y'all put in. Thank y'all for motivation to get off my ass and try to do more.
Oh,
yeah, that's awesome.
Oh.
Yes. My wife said, thank you, love.
Yeah.
So thank you, honey. I run the vision type things. I run the, our direction, things of that sort. But my wife's absolutely the professional when it comes to the crime and trauma scene cleaning industry. The way that she handles people in their time of need is unbelievable. And everybody that works with us with BioTechs has to have that same mentality, that same compassion. So it's awesome. It's a great job, unbelievable job that my wife does for our company. So on that note, it's 1:55. I will say, Jim, I'm going to kind of highlight these two guys towards the end as far as the business is concerned, but I want to thank you very much because you're bringing an aspect to this show that for the people who are like, damn, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe, there's something I don't know. And it's neat to be able to hear about, that investment side of things, and to, again, go back to, hey, sometimes, and I'm not saying, because James, I'm hoping that you do go into business. I think you're going to be a wonderful business person. But if you're not ready yet, smart thing to do is don't pull that trigger, man. Do more research, keep the investments going, do whatever. And while you're waiting for that opportunity, do everything you can. Knowledge is power, like y'all talked about. And I think that, researching the hell out of it, but there's nothing like doing. Know that. You can read the books, you can watch the videos, but you got to get out there and you got to start, you got to try it. You got to put those efforts forward, and you got to get out and you got to get off your ass, just like Mary said, and try something. So, Jim, thank you very much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you and what you're doing with Shields for Kids, man. Thank you so much for that, brother.
Thank you for the experience.
Oh, yeah, man. And thank you for turning us on to Iker and his family. It's a little boy that was suffering
Keep
with
him in your
cancer, and
prayers.
he's still going through it. And so we want to send a shout out, to that family. And I want to thank you again for helping us, introducing us to him and that family and giving us that opportunity to be able to help. Cool. All right, Jim. Thank you very much, brother.
Thanks.
All right. So we are talking to, let's see, Trey. So Trey, any final words on, hey, where can people find you? How do they get a hold of your company? Do you just help people with new buys? Is it, just give us that spiel as we wrap up.
Yeah. And well, closing statements, if we're in a courtroom, I would say thank you for the opportunity. I love talking about business. I love talking about entrepreneurship, and what better than you three gentlemen. My real estate business, I help people buy and sell all the time, anything commercial, farm and ranch. We have been a young company for a year, but in a year we're freaking rolling, and we're super, super motivated to go national. I mean, I know it's gonna happen. And also I wanted to really plug the First Responders Young Professionals Network. So if you're watching this and you're like, I don't know where the hell to start, I don't know anything about business, I was there right with you, brother or sister. Join this group. It is a whopping $0, and we don't push any sales or any like buy this, buy that. It is 100%. There's a CPA on there. Trini is one of the administrators. Viciously Loyal, George and Elisa are in the group. So ask questions, answer. It's a safe place. We don't post outside of there. So that's what I'm going to mainly plug, because what I'll tell young people is you need to have your goals and your values aligned. So my value, and I just been like this my whole life, is I value empowerment. Lower class in the Bronx, economically, I had nobody to motivate me, nobody. So I love empowering people. So the way I empower people is through business. Whether I get paid or not, I don't care. It's really I want, at the end of the day, I'll say one day, if I see somebody say, Trey, you said something on this one piece of content, then I freaking changed my life, man. I did this, and thank you for that. That speaks the world to me. So Facebook, Trey Serrano, Instagram, Trey Serrano. And one piece of advice is that I know when I started, it was almost impossible to be rich or to be wealthy or to, make a lot of money, much more than a pension or just a fixed income. And that is the Pareto principle of the 80-20. Real quick, 80-20 is basically that 20% of something controls 80% of it. So just Google it, watch videos on it. I truly believe you can improve 1% better every day. You're going to be the 80%, which is the general population. But eventually, just like through service, you're going to be much greater, and you're going to have much more control and leverage of your life. And I love you guys.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I'll touch on it before you leave. what money allows you to do is to have freedom. A lot of people will associate having money with you. Oh, well, I don't need to have that much money. I don't need the big cars. I don't need the big house. No, but what about the freedom to go to a restaurant and not look at a menu? Like, I want to eat this. Well, sir, you need to know that that costs this much. Oh, that's cool, man. Thank you for letting me know. I would like to have that though. Oh, well, what about for me, one of the things that sparked me in business was when I went to Disney World and my little girl wanted a dress, but the dress was on the top rack. And I was like, oh God, that equates to money. They got it on the top rack. They don't want people touching it. So I was like, oh, she brought it down. And we knew we didn't have the money to get her that dress. And so I had to convince my little girl, and that sucks, to convince her like, hey, why don't we put that up? And, we will remember it. It's here. But, man, we have the whole park, and there's all kinds of other gift shops. And let's see if maybe we can find something else. And then, hey, if we don't find it, we'll come over here. And I was thinking, man, if I got to buy her 5 things that only equal half of this dress, she'll probably be happy as a little kid, and she'll be okay. She'll forget about the dress. But I walked away from there like, oh, man, I can't even come to Disney and get my daughter a dress that she wants. And I just said, I'm not doing that anymore, man. I don't need a plane. I don't need to have, a Lamborghini, although I want one. And it is on the list, and I'm hoping one day I can. But what I do want is the freedom. And I want the freedom to be able to go join Dwayne at the coast. If I want to go like we did on our last vacation, I decide, you know what? Not done with vacation. Let's change the flight. Let's find somewhere else to go. Want to golf? Let's go golf. Let's go find something to do. The freedom to be able to do things like that are why I liked thinking about business and providing something for my family outside of what I was doing as a policeman. So I think it's important, Trey, what you just touched on. And that was the thing that I remember, sparked me to be able to in business. So, man, Trey, thank you so much for joining us again, brother. I appreciate it. Keep those videos coming. And if you don't mind standing by, I know Jim's standing by, Trey's standing by. If you don't mind, give me a quick second, okay? And now we are to Viciously Loyal with George. Hey, George, if you can, go ahead and give us that send-off along with that announcement that we've got that I'm hoping works out. But I'll go ahead and go there in a minute. But go ahead and give us that. Where can we find you? What do you got going on? Where you got?
Okay, absolutely. First of all, let me I forgot to give a shout out to my friend, my dear friend for 34 years, Tim Caufeld, who actually helped me fund initially the phrase Viciously Loyal. So shout out to Tim Caufeld. That goes back to the mantra of what it stands for. After 34 years of friendship, and I didn't have that money, that initial startup that Tim Caufeld did for me. So love you, Tim.
Awesome,
thank you,
man. Awesome.
That's where it all comes from, right? I've always been there for Tim and wanting nothing, just his friendship. And anyway, that's how he pays it back 34 years later. Thank you. So anyway, you can find us at viciouslyloyal.com. That's our web store. On Instagram, it's Viciously Loyal. On Facebook, it's Viciously Loyal. We sell apparel, but I think it's more about the mantra and the ethos. And if you have a life that is a little bit more about service to your community, to your country, to your faith, to your family, to your service, then this is a brand for you. And you've never had to have served in the armed forces or been in the military to be in service. And that's all this brand is. It's about giving to something greater than yourself. And I've said it before. I've never met anybody who said, man, I really regret helping my fellow man. And people have commented, I'm getting hit up about my smile. Look, I smile a lot because I think you smile at somebody, you get a smile back. And you and I have talked about this before. I see a lot of people who been in the Marine Corps, been in the Air Force, been in the police department. They walk around like they're in a Clint Eastwood movie. And I, having trained, you've been on SWAT, you've done many, many great things. We're all warriors. I don't feel the need to walk around with a scowl on my face. So I try to greet the world with this because we're bringers of the peace, right? Peacekeepers, right? We bring the peace and we bring the smile. It'll help.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think what I'll take away from that is don't let what you do define you.
yeah.
Let your heart define you. Let what it is that's, doesn't mean be a pushover. Doesn't
No.
mean take take so much that it takes away from your soul or your heart. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you listen to your heart, you follow your heart, and ultimately, you use a position like, we all are owning businesses. We all, Jim has a spot in my heart for what he's done for us. It had nothing to do with the business. It had to do with providing for me and my family, like all those committees do. And I was able to retire with the safety and security that my pension is intact. And that's what those guys do for us, along with everything everyone else does. But for me, it's being able to, make sure that when you're walking around and you've got money, you've got a certain title, you got a position, don't let that become who you are. Because if you took away my title of SWAT, you took away my business, I'm still Trini. Yep. And I think that people will still like me the same, because nobody's coming to me saying, hey, dude, can you pay my mortgage? Can you co-sign? Nobody's doing anything like that. So I think it's really neat to be able to have the comments like I do from people like, Dwayne, the kind of comments you guys have given me. And it just is good confirmation that I'm living my life the right way. So I love what you say. That's why I love Viciously Loyal. It's a great brand. And briefly, don't forget about our conference. This is a Peace Conference. And let me tell you why. For all you guys that are MMA fans, jiu-jitsu fans, I want to let you know that through my relationships, like George and Annalisa, one thing they did was connections. So you got a lot of, you can develop connections. You can get in touch with the people that can help you in your cause. And if you're a good person, because George wouldn't recommend this person if I wasn't a good person, you get the opportunity to be able to have things like this happen. And that is, I got off the phone with Hoyce Gracie. And, a couple of days ago, George put me in contact with him. And I think we've got a picture of George and Hoyce. There he is. That to me is a man that brought, the UFC and MMA and, of course, the art of jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu. Let me clarify that, to the world. And I talked to that man, and there are some things you guys don't know about him yet. I'm going to save it for the podcast. But one thing I'll tell you is he is an avid follower, believer, supporter of first responders. The dude is a great person to talk to, very easy to talk to. And what he has done is he has said, I want to be at the conference. I want to be there. I will be there. He's waiting to find out if his Bellator commitment is going to interfere with it. But he's told me that schedule doesn't conflict. I'm going to be there. So for me, we're talking about breakout sessions. One of our breakout sessions is going to be a jiu-jitsu seminar. And I'm hoping that he'll be able to come down and lead that seminar. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm super excited about it. So, we're going to keep in contact. And one more thing is he's going to come on the podcast. So we're going to have him here, hopefully for a couple of episodes. I know he's going to be on for one for sure, but he sounds like the type of dude that'll be on for two. Oh, no, we'll highlight him. I believe so. We'll have him for a couple. And then when we do that announcement, when he confirms, we'll have him back on and we'll make that announcement then. So make sure you tune in. We're going to have him here on the show here very soon. Hoyce Gracie, man, a legend when it comes to the sport of jiu-jitsu. I shouldn't say the sport, the art of the Gracie jiu-jitsu. And, of course, we all know the sport of jiu-jitsu now, but also a person that, to me, I was blown away by the feeling I got that this dude is extremely caring towards first responders. And so I got some great things to share with you guys, but we'll save it for the podcast. So George, thank you so much for trusting me with that connection. And I'm excited to be able to have him on.
Absolutely. Awesome. Oh, just mention his son does wear our brand in the ring, in the Bellator ring, Conrad.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Super excited about that. So George, thank you so much. I appreciate you and all that you're doing, especially for Mark and his family. So we'll get back with you here in just a second. Cool. All right. So one thing I'll leave you with is from my perspective in our BioTechs franchise, one of the things I want to stress is that, there are a lot of people who watch this show after it airs live. They watch the recordings and on. They send a lot of questions our way. So we're going to be doing some marketing, some heavier marketing, and we're going to be able to get this podcast out there even to more of an audience. And if you're interested in a BioTechs franchise, we make sure you get a hold of us. It's BioTechs Online. I believe is the website. I'm not sure. Do we have it up there? I think it is BioTechs Online. We've got some website stuff going on, but you can send a message on this feed here on YouTube or there you go, BioTechsOnline.com. We'll answer any questions for you. But one thing I want to tell you is you've got to be the right fit for this franchise. I'm not into taking checks for the sake of taking checks. If you haven't figured that out yet, I want to make sure that you're a right fit, because at the other end of this franchise is a family or somebody that's in need. And I think about that person at the very end. So, you got to be a great fit. It also protects you in your investment, man. You would like to have somebody tell you this probably isn't a good fit and this is why. That being said, we are looking for franchisees now. We're marketing nationwide, and we got an Austin interview coming up here soon. And so I'm excited about that service that we provide to our community, and I'm excited to be able to present this offering. So make sure you check us out, BioTechs Online. Don't forget about our conference. We'll flash it up on the screen one more time. And that is April the 12th through the 14th of next year. We have very limited spots for sponsorships. This is your target audience. If you've got police, fire, military, EMT, this is your target audience. Again, make sure you sign up early to be able to get one of those spots. We do have an EBGTW, which is an early bird gets the worm discount. So, if you want to attend the conference, be sure that you get your tickets. It's a limited number of tickets. We have great speakers in line. And so we're looking forward to you guys joining us April 12th through the 14th here in San Antonio, Texas, 2021. So it's Trini Trinidad signing off. Thank you so much for your support. And don't forget, I got your 6.